How to build a profitable used inventory machine at your dealership. If you're a power sports dealership trying to buy used inventory smarter, turn units faster, and stop leaving money on the table, then this episode is your new playbook. I'm going to break down the Moto Hunt Profit Accelerator Playbook, a practical strategy guide to help source better units, manage aging inventory, and turn your used department into a profit center. Whether you're a general manager, sales manager, or one-man operation doing all the inventory, this episode will give you tactical steps you can use immediately. The profit is made in the buy, not the sale. So let's first talk about section 1, mastering used inventory acquisition. There are several different ways that a dealer can source different used bikes, and I'm going to go through them one by one. First, wholesale buying. This is dealer to dealer, and wholesale buying is a key strategy that a lot of dealers are doing today. For acquiring used motorcycles and ATVs, many dealerships, especially the single line motorcycle, the Harley dealerships and automotive dealerships, take in power sports vehicles on trade with no intent to retail them, right? They don't want to go through the hassle of selling them because maybe it's not their product and they just want to unload it off their books. By developing strong relationships with these dealers, managers can gain early access to high quality inventory. So here's what you do. You want to first establish a dealer network to facilitate those wholesale bids and acquisitions. You want to regularly communicate with these automotive and Harley dealerships, if you're multi-line, to identify incoming trade-in units. Be available for when they need a buy bid. Now, when you do offer a buy bid, offer a fair wholesale price to establish a long-term buying opportunity. You may or may not have to make some concessions on certain models that you may not want to ensure that you do get the better opportunities when they come. Keep in mind, these dealers, they're just looking for a wholesale outlet so they can do their own deals. And then you definitely want to track which dealers take in specific brands and models to streamline the sourcing. Some dealers are better at motorcycle versus off-road vehicles. So wholesale buying is a huge, huge way. But again, you're fighting with other different types of buyers with these dealers, and they know it, and they can bid you against each other sometimes. So let's go to the second one, auctions. Auctions, I love auctions. Auctions provide a fast way to acquire bulk inventory, but they do also come with a competitive bidding strategy, right? So NPA, National Power Sports Auctions, it's the industry leader, but you may have some regional auctions that can offer some hidden gems occasionally. So here's what you want to do with that. First, you want to research upcoming auction inventory and set price limits before bidding. This is often called a preview or run list of the auction units for a future date. Typically, they're weekly or maybe a couple times a month. You want to get familiar with these weekly auctions as they typically run them only on certain days, like every Wednesday or every Friday. You want to also get familiar with their condition or grading system. Auctions typically do a great job at documenting and providing a ton of pictures or information on damages, leaks, and other issues that the vehicle may have, especially if you're looking at them online. You'll need to calculate a rough estimate of what it may cost to recondition the bike to be, quote unquote, retail ready at your store, even before the bidding. Factors in buyer's fees and transportations, you also need to determine what that is when you are looking to bid. You have to pay a fee to use the auction when you buy it, and you have to get it to your store unless you're picking it up yourself, but most dealers do not. So always factor those things in. And lastly, identify seasonal patterns when certain models may be more or less competitive, off-road versus on-road. You want to definitely diversify your auction purchases with a different type of mix of popular and in high margin models. You want to stick with your own historical knowledge on what sells quicker and with your customer base. If your specialty is pre-owned Harleys, great. Buy as many pre-owned Harleys as you can. Get it a little different model mix. But if you're non-partial and you're open to any on-road motorcycle, mix it up with a couple of Japanese brands and some used Harleys. It's all in what you can sell. You guys know what you're doing. You guys know what you like. Number 3, service department sourcing. Your service department is a gold mine for acquiring used inventory. Many customers bring in their bikes for service, routine maintenance or repair. They would consider a trade-in or an outright sale if they were in a positive equity situation. You just got to show it to them. So how do you do this? First of all, you want to implement daily service checks to identify high value trade-in opportunities through that current day's open repair orders. And you want to sort it to include or exclude certain model year ranges, certain makes or models, or just pick out a couple of the ones that you're familiar with. within mileage ranges, right? That do not exceed your parameters. So, investigate what type of service work is being performed, whether it's general, whether it's, a couple tires, or whether it's a big, leaky repair. Okay. Secondly, once you've got your list of bikes, you want to prioritize the vehicles that were originally purchased at your dealership and are possibly out of a factory warranty, or the ones that need the costly repairs, right? No one wants to pay out of pocket for a big service bill. You also can train your service advisors to engage with these customers on potential trade-in options. I know that's easier said than done. A lot of service advisors, they sit in the service drive, and they've got a ton of things to do. Offering their customer a trade-in option is not always the first thing, but maybe you can incentivize them. Some dealers do it, and their advisors are paid a spiff or bonus for bringing service customers to the sales department that turns into a trade-in deal. But lastly, in the service department, you can always do a soft appraisal or purchase option directly on the service lane. This can be done with an in-person consultation. You're there on the drive with them, a quick phone call, a small email, maybe even a text alert while the vehicle is there in your service department. And furthermore, an offer on paper can be attached to their repair order when they come in and cashier their ticket, when they pay their bill and leave. Okay. So that's kind of a soft one that you can just kind of make a nice template and say your vehicle's XYZ. Here are a couple of deal options that I can give you. Think about it as like a mini write-up that's just attached to the paperwork that your receptionist hands to them at the time of checkout. Number 4, private party purchases. Okay, so guys, buying direct from private sellers on platforms like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, OfferUp can yield some pretty high margin deals. However, the speed and negotiation skills are essential on platforms like that, right? You got to hustle. So here's what you can do to help with that. You got to set up daily alerts for specific models on these classified platforms, or be browsing listings multiple times per day, targeting the specific models in your area that may come up for sale. You don't know what's going to come up for sale. You just got to kind of be there when it does. You want to train your buyer, whether that's you or somebody that you have in the dealership. You want to train your buyer to respond quickly and professionally to these private sellers. Is this still available is often ignored on Facebook Marketplace, and must be transparent that you're a dealer with an easy way to buy their bike. Always explain it as, hey, we're going to make this easy on you. You can always offer a free professional appraisal from your service department to quickly inspect and give a no haggle, tech-driven experience with a 7-day offer to buy their motorcycle or power sport product. Think of like CarMax, right? They have a process for how they do this with the private market. They've been hugely successful. There's no reason why you can't take little pieces of their recipe and bring it into your dealership. Plus, selling to a dealership is so much less hassle than private seller to private buyer. Think about it. A private seller has to arrange to meet at a neutral location. You definitely don't want to come into your house. And they would have to come up with cash. The buyer has to come up with all the money. They don't offer payments typically on a private to private deal, right? And you'll have to do all the required paperwork from the DMV, title paperwork, registration, sold paperwork, whatever your state requires. I'm sure there's a couple things that you need to do every time you sell a vehicle. So when you explain it to them like, hey, Mr. Customer, selling to a dealer is 100% taken care of on all that, and the seller just has to bring it to the dealership location at their convenience nonetheless, and it could be paid off, title transfer, sign-offs in a matter of an hour or less, right? It's super easy. You guys buy bikes. For those that don't, right, it's just one of those things that you can kind of get into, and it's just like a trade, right? Lastly, Moto Hunt, shameless plug. You can use Moto Hunt's brand new buy center to streamline and track those private party offers and acquisitions, right? This allows our dealers to stay organized and grow their used department at a scale, and their operations and retail business makes it super profitable to the sales department. Number 5, a trade-in page optimizer. So your website's trade-in form is one of the highest intent lead sources available, yet many dealerships do not maximize its potential. Think about it. If you got a trade lead, that is like super right in the lane of, this guy wants to do something with a vehicle he's already got. You've already got something to talk about, not the vehicle that they're purchasing, but the vehicle that they own. That is an intent-based lead form. Definitely want to take advantage of it. So here's the thing. When you do get these leads, you have to ensure that all trade leads are answered within 1 hour of submission during business hours, because response time on any lead not just the trade leads, but any lead is crucial to the success. But with the trade type leads, the customer is deciding quickly that this is the way that they want to engage with you. So the speed to the lead wins the deal. You can also assign a dedicated team member to manage just those trade appraisals, just those trade leads. Having a trade specialist or a manager specialist at the dealership to help with these types of leads are way better than the other lead follow-up process. Think about it. Out of all the leads that you get, a majority of them are going to be about buying a vehicle, not trading in their current vehicle to buy a vehicle. So you can split these ones off and you can have kind of their own dedicated process, workflow, and follow-up. You can cross-reference similar local inventory to determine a fair market value. And this will tell you how saturated the market is for their trade and provide further insights in how to structure your trade deal. Finally, you want to train your staff to ask follow-up questions and assess outright purchase opportunities. The goal is to work these leads with the purpose of maximizing the trade value by what? Visiting the store for what? A professional appraisal. It's pretty easy. Section 2, optimizing your used inventory for maximum profit. Quote, manage your expectations and you'll see immediate results. So now you've got all these sources on how you want to buy or acquire your used motorcycle or power sport inventory. Good job. Use your capital wisely, start deploying it on these used product and bring them into the shop. Now what needs to happen? Reconditionings. So part 1, reconditioning strategy. The faster a bike is reconditioned and retail ready, the sooner it can generate interest from willing customers. If they don't know you have it for sale, they will find someone else who does. You kind of have to be everywhere at all times when the customer's ready. So here's what you want to do with that used inventory. You got to develop a quick turnaround goal for standard reconditioning. Any late model or low mileage used bikes that do not require extensive repairs need to fast track that service department. Every day the vehicle sits, it technically depreciates in value. Your parts department can also pre-stock common maintenance items like filters, fluids, tires, brakes, and other typical SKUs that you can purchase in bulk, right? You're trying to get these things to the frontline retail ready. You want to work with your service department to create a priority workflow to fast track these high demand units that does not take away from the skilled technicians working on the customer pay jobs. And finally, you want to implement a quality assurance check before moving any of these units to the showroom. Some dealers use a checklist and they do a test ride before they are deemed retail ready and available for customers to take home. The QA is super important if you're going to have a good reputation as a used bike dealer. Section 2, the digital merchandising best practices, right? So you've got it reconditioned, you've got it reconned, and now you have to merchandise it. A well-merchandised bike sells fast. Digital presentation is just as important as the showroom placement. So you guys have heard me talk about how to merchandise your inventory the best. I'm going to give you the quick rundown here. Make sure every single vehicle, every unit has at least 12 to 15 high resolution photos from different or multiple angles. Descriptions should highlight installed accessories, key features, maintenance history, or even competitive advantages. The pricing should be updated bi-weekly based on fluctuating market conditions and demand. The price is not a set and forget. You have to be dynamic in this pricing if you're seeing the data tell you one way or another. And finally, if you leverage Moto Hunt's issues reports to flag gaps and optimize the listings quickly, you can make sure that all of your inventory is tip-top shape online. Section 3, the showroom strategy. So after you've reconned it, after you've digitally merchandised it, now it's time to put it in the showroom. Well, I'm sure you guys know how to do that, but I'll just give my talking points anyways. A well-positioned bike in the showroom can turn faster than one that's tucked away in the back lot. We all know that. So first of all, if this is going to be a part of your strategy and you want to highlight your used inventory along with you may carry new vehicles as well, you have to designate a high traffic used bike spotlight area. These bikes need to be by themselves. They need to be kind of alone in their own area. I know it's a mixture of different products that you would typically sell, but they are not to be included in the new stuff. It's just a difference, right? You want to use bright colored hang tags and signage to highlight the vehicle specials. You can also offer test ride incentives to generate showroom engagement because it's a little easier in some states to offer a test ride on a pre-owned bike than it is a brand new one. And then you want to rotate inventory display weekly to create a fresh look for repeat customers. Some customers do come in and out of your showroom pretty frequently, whether they're there to look at a bike for sale, or they're getting parts, or they're wandering off to service, or they're there for an event. Make sure that you're rotating all of these sections appropriately, especially your used bike inventory. Part 3, smart inventory age management. Quote, you can't manage what you don't measure. Old mentor told me that. So section 1, let's talk about the 30, 60, 90, 180-day pricing adjustments. Now, this is super aggressive, but pricing adjustments should be a proactive strategy, not a reactive one. So the way that I always like to break it down to make sure that I've got proper turn on my inventory, and this may not work for everybody, but let's go 30 days. So in 30 days, you want to review the lead volume. And if on that particular unit, if it's low and there's not a lot of engagement on it, you want to price adjust about 3 to 5%, which means down. You might have it too high. On the 60-day mark, if the unit has not sold, maybe reposition it in the showroom and increase your marketing efforts just a little bit more. At the 90-day mark, you want to further price reduce or consider a dealer-to-dealer wholesale transaction, meaning you might have another dealer that would do well with this bike because obviously you are not at the 90-day mark. And then 180 days plus, you have to get aggressive with your markdown, consider an auction sale, or some other means to recover your capital. These timeframes, again, are aggressive, but they can be adjusted based on seasonality or even maybe carryover. But consider coming up with your own timeframes to actively manage your vehicles. Don't let them sit and rot. Part 2, leveraging digital marketing for inventory turnover. So aged inventory should be heavily marketed before it even reaches that critical loss status. You want to include aged inventory in the email blasts and website banners on your website. You want to feature slow moving models in some paid Facebook or Google ads. You can even use a limited time special messaging to create urgency. And finally, if that doesn't work, refresh the listing photos and the descriptions to attract renewed interest. This one has worked for me in the past. Something doesn't sell, we need to retail out of it. Sometimes just shooting new pictures and rewriting the description helps get some more eyeballs on it because it's now fresh. And maybe there's some customers sitting on the sidelines waiting for that inventory and it just didn't look right the first 100 times they looked at it, but now they will. Okay, so the third section here, let's talk about exit strategies for stagnant inventory. So this is just a part of the game. Not every bike will retail profitably. Knowing when to exit a unit is just as important as knowing when to buy a unit. So like I said earlier, consider dealer-to-dealer wholesale trades or sending to the auction for the slow-moving models. You can monitor the season cycles when specific models might perform better. Obviously, in winter, in the northern states, you're probably not selling that many bikes because not that many dealers are looking for them at the auction. So you may want to consider holding it just a little bit more to in season to get a couple more bucks out of it. But be careful of the decay of the value. If you're part of a multi-location group, consider a transfer or a trade to another location. Maybe it doesn't do well at one store, but it would do well at another store. Many multi-store locations have a mechanism to transfer inventory between them. Definitely use that as an advantage that single rooftop stores do not have. And then obviously you want to offer a limited time promotion to drive final sales. A big weekend discount, a $500 parts credit, or this or that, right? You guys have seen a lot of marketing messages before to try to move the needle. Definitely try to use them on a unit by unit basis. And then you want to publicize that either on digital and the showroom. Section 4, creating a culture of used inventory success. Quote, everything you want is just outside your comfort zone. So I've just talked about a whole plan about how to create a sourcing list of bikes to buy, how to quickly move that bike through a reconditioning service and parts process, how to get it up online as quickly as you can, and how to manage that inventory once it's retail ready and what to do with it if it gets a little too old. But we forgot the one component that makes all of this work, the leadership buy-in. Successful dealerships have to create a culture where used inventory is a high priority. You want to set weekly performance targets for used bike acquisition, meaning I need to buy X amount of bikes weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. And then you want to conduct monthly strategy meetings focused solely on the inventory management. Now that I've got this inventory, what are we doing with it? You want to reinforce the importance of a fast turn inventory with real-time pricing adjustments. When it comes to the daily and weekly inventory check-ins, an engaged management team ensures inventory is always optimized. So you can assign daily pricing reviews to track market shifts. You can hold weekly manager check-ins to discuss the aged inventory and create an incentive program for your sales staff who moves the oldest units. Usually that's on a Saturday or a Friday. And finally, the ROI and performance tracking. So tracking profit margins and inventory turnover is critical to the sustained success. Try to set a 30% minimum average profit margin goal for all of your used inventory sales. You want to manage and monitor the average days to turn per model type. You want to use Moto Hunt's real-time analytics to identify the highest performing units in your market. And that, folks, is how we're turning strategy into profit. By following this quick playbook, power sports and motorcycle dealerships, they can optimize their used bike strategy. They can acquire more quality units at the right price, accelerate the turn, and maximize your profits. This system, combined with our Moto Hunt tools, provides dealers with a competitive advantage in their own market. And for further assistance or a one-on-one strategy session, let me know. We'd be happy to talk to you about it. Thank you.
Dealers, discover the power of Moto Hunt's Inventory Ads program, designed to drive leads and sales for your motorcycle dealership. Our dynamic ads automatically showcase your current in-stock inventory on Google and Meta products catalogs, reaching buyers exactly when they're searching. With targeted ad campaigns, seasonal adjustments, and real-time performance tracking, you can optimize your ad spend and see impressive results. These are not your traditional SEM campaigns. These are product ads that show customers real-time motorcycles and power sports for sale and direct them directly to your landing page. Sign up today and get a marketing edge over your competition with Moto Hunt.